We're live.
Hey guys.
Hey family. Welcome back.
Yep.
Happy New Year. You guys,
Happy New Year.
yeah, this is the first time we've been back since the New Year. We haven't seen everybody since Happy New Year, everybody.
Okay, she's doing that New Year. Okay.
Okay.
Victoria should just stay on
And I'm wearing my mask because I got a little bit of a cough and we're trying to be safe. And I don't want Vic to get, the cough or get sick. And Lord knows,
let's tell the
with
truth.
Everything that's going on. What?
I told her to wear a mask.
I was going to wear it anyway. I was going to wear it
anyway.
anyway. She just reminded me.
Yes, I did.
So, unfortunately, right after Thanksgiving, I was exposed to a family member who had coronavirus. And I actually had a family member, I wasn't exposed to him in Pittsburgh, who passed away on December 22nd because he had complications from other issues he had, but he got coronavirus. And of course, that exacerbated his condition. But anyway, we're here.
Don't get her into her rants because that's what she's going to start in, and then she's going to So we're just going to
jump
kill
right
it right
in.
there. Yeah, jump right into this.
I'm Kim.
I'm Vic.
And welcome to Well Said with Kim and Vic.
Yes.
On the Seeking Educational Excellence YouTube channel. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe.
And if you put something down at the bottom today, we can be able to and respond back to you.
Yeah.
We have one person on here so far, right? Am I correct?
I
don't know who it is.
Right. Say something to us. Like, let us know you out there.
Let you know that you're alive and well. All right. Now that we've said that, all the greetings and all of this stuff, Happy New Year stuff from Kim. Let's get into this today. Today we're gonna be talking about school choice. And with that being said, whose choice is it? Is it the government or is it the parents' choice of where they send their child and where they use their tax dollars? Should their tax dollars be used on a voucher program, in a charter school, parochial school, magnet school? There's so many choices that's out there now. Oh, I'm getting a glare on my glasses. Lord, I'm sorry, you guys. I feel like that
I see it a little
right
bit.
there on my frame. Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to kind of come back a little bit. I'm sorry, but I think it's gonna be whatever it is.
If it's an issue, Biden is not your president.
No, that wasn't you. That's John.
That's John. Okay, yeah. Hey, John.
Hi, John. How you doing? Happy, her year that she's saying. Anyways, but we're gonna get into this today. I had some articles just before we went on break.
Started some stuff already. I love it.
I had some articles before we went on our break, and this happened during December. And the reason why so many parents are looking for different choices is because we are having so many issues with those who are the instructors. So I have one of these articles that came out December 8th. It says University of Chicago refuses to punish a professor for protesting for criticizing diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion efforts. So we have that one, okay? And
hey, Teresa.
Hey, Terry, how are you? And then we had one from North Carolina school district to stop using grandfathering due to racist origins. Look at that. And then we have another principal allegedly fired for posting conservative memes on social media. Check that one out. So those are the three articles that kind of, boom, went back out at me. And I just wanted to put that out at you to see the crazy that's happening and the reason why parents are looking for alternatives.
Yes. Well, what we're going to do, too, is today we're going to talk a little bit about, I hate masks, you guys.
As long as you're not coughing, you okay. You just keep it down, because when you start coughing, you just put that right on your mouth.
Just put it right back. Okay.
There you go.
What we're going to really try to focus on today is, the pros, and we'll even look at the cons. What our goal is to give you guys information about this subject. And a disclaimer for me, I actually believe in school choice as a parent who had, who was close to the school systems coming up. And as a parent who had the opportunity to use a voucher, and I saw up close and personal what it was like. So, and as a parent who had to deal with the public school system, and I know Vic had the same thing coming up, and now I have grandchildren in public school. So I think this is an issue that's very near and dear to a lot of parents. So I always felt like, is it really school choice or parent choice? And I really feel like the parents should have the ability to choose they want their.
That's not a problem. It's the point of, I think, is that choosing is not the point. I just think that overall, we have to be able to allow universally everyone to select. It shouldn't meet a requirement according to a person's income.
Yeah. We definitely gonna get into that issue.
We're gonna get into that
because I've seen both sides of this argument about taxpayer money following a student. People without children feel like they should have a say in where kids go because they're paying taxes.
Yeah.
So some of the interesting questions. These are some of the things we're going to explore: the who, what, when, where, and why of school choice. Right? Is school choice a good thing? Now that's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
I think, and we'll look at that. What do some people have against school choice?
Okay.
And traditionally, it's always been people of a certain ideology who are opposed to school choice. What is school choice and how does it work? So we'll be looking at and answering some of those questions. Who does it benefit? And who benefits from parents not having school choice? So these are some of the things that we'll be looking at as we get into this.
You guys going to see me go like this because she will try to monopolize the whole entire thing, the whole entire time, just going like this, and I have to just pull it back in. But if you're a parent, I think you need to go and pull up the proclamation of the National School Choice Week 2020 for January. Okay,
it's blurred out. Wait a minute, can we put it closer? There it is.
And you guys need to go and print that out. That is from the president.
It looks President backwards, Trump. But yes.
From the president, because there's other
What's
ones.
What's the website? Is there a website that we can give them a reference to?
No, just type in what I
maybe go to the White House website.
And it's signed by Donald Trump.
Right.
Okay, in the back.
I think they see it backwards. Right there.
It's really back there. So
but it's
really
the proclamation on National School Choice Week.
And you need to go and do that because Trump and DeVos raised school choice in appeal. Okay? There's a lot of articles about school choice.
Right.
And the president was the current president, the legal president, made that a mandate. One of those things that he was pushing for is for school choice. And he was trying to give the Black community, it was for the Black community to give them an equal playing field going forward on the educational front. However, there's always pushback and it's always someone doing the pushback. And we all, like we always say, who's always ringing the bell? Who benefits from the pushback? And what we looked into was that the pushback is coming from, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher, I know, it's from unions. The unions benefit by selecting or keeping the endorsement of the candidates, Democrat, in all of the Democrat cities, because remember, these are cities, these are metropolis, these are large cities. So you're talking about LA, you're talking about New York City, you're talking about Chicago, any city that in this entire country that is a big city, they tend to have unions in those particular cities. And these unions give a lot of money, a lot of endorsements to the running candidate, whether it's a president, whether it's a local candidate, whether it's the mayors, governors. They give a lot of money. In return, they're getting something back. And this is the control that they have within in schools. This is the reason why it's such a stronghold to break down that barrier of saying, okay, our children parents would like to make the choice for their children, not the government. The government should not have that much control over a person's child, where they should go,
Right.
and under what environment they should learn. They should come with a package of tax monies when they are school age, and it should run through their whole entire life. Where you want to take those tax dollars, I think that you should be able to do that, whether you decide to go to parochial schools, whether you decide to homeschool. Even if you homeschool, you have to buy supplies. You have to still maintain that same environment that child would need during the day if they were in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they should be able to also have that too, that package, that tax package for the remaining of their lives. Not that you just get it all at one time. Mm-hmm. Each year is given to you a certain amount, okay, to fund that child's education, whether it be at home school, whether it be in a private school, whether it be in a charter school, whether it be in a magnet school, whether it be in a Montessori school, wherever you choose to send your child. I think your tax dollars that you put into government funds should be able to follow your child, no matter where you want to educate them.
Yeah. Okay. And we're definitely going to get a little bit more deep into those types of issues, because we are going to talk about the different choices that are available.
Yes.
Some things that I found that I have forgotten about, the different choices that, and then both perspective. And I would say, even though it seems like the unions are beholden to the politicians and vice versa, we know there's an unholy alliance there to the detriment of our children. But I would say at the parent level, school choice is nonpartisan. I've talked to people with, leftist ideology, but when it comes to their kids, they want what's best for their kids. So at that level, definitely at the politician level, at the state level, local levels and stuff like that. And unfortunately, the teachers, when they're involved in the unions, they're more interested in their well-being than the well-being of our children. So, excuse me for 1 second, it's the president calling. Mr. President, I'm in the middle of broadcast. Eli, can I call you back? Talker, thanks for calling. I swear, I know, he's trying to ask me. He's trying to ask me for, like advice and stuff. So I'm gonna get back with him. No,
don't you say nothing, John, because you know us too well.
But just on the point that I was trying to make is that at the parent level, school choice is nonpartisan. It really is. Yeah. The unholy alliances with the Democrat Party and the unions and stuff, and the teachers. And the good thing about school choice that we have found is that it does put more power in the parents. There's still some issues that we think need to be resolved when it comes to taxpayer dollars following a child. Parents who have a little bit more wherewithal, there's who pay taxes and still pay for their children to go, like to private schools
that
and stuff. That
was me.
And then, so we talked about that. That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah,
that deserves being, for us to talk about. Yeah. But I do want to go over a quick list.
Yes.
I did find an article from the Heritage Foundation. A lot of you guys may or may not be familiar with the Heritage Foundation, but they have academic excellence.
Yes.
So this article, even though it's commentary, it gave a couple of reasons, 10 of them. I won't read all of them, but just 10 reasons why school choice is good. Okay. School choice is good. Number one, reasons for safety, because you got to think about it. A lot of times the inner city schools and in the lower income neighborhoods, whether it's a white neighborhood or black neighborhood, they're unsafe. So when you have school choice, a lot of times you can send your children to private schools or some of the schools that are in safer neighborhoods. So that's, and for me, that was an issue. My daughters, I took advantage of vouchers when we lived in an inner city neighborhood, and I was a married mom. My family was intact. I had a husband, but our income, with both incomes, we still, I think maybe combined, maybe made $60,000 a year, and we were a family of 5. So I tell people, that's not a lot of money for a family of 5. So fortunately, we won the lottery, and I was able to send my daughters I sent them to Catholic school. I wasn't Catholic, but I sent them to Catholic school.
See, on the other side of that spectrum is my side of the story, is that I sent my daughter to private school. And I sent her to private school because I did not want them to teach her certain things, certain immoral things. I mean, it comes down to the moral cavity of what you want to be placed in your children's ears at a very young age, and especially when they're entering school at the age of 4 and 5 years old. You know, those are the things you wrestle with in your mind during the day. So, but her father and I, at the time we were married, and we decided to send her to a private school. I didn't get a voucher. I couldn't get a voucher. The reason why, we were over six figure income. So that was not happening. However, I did apply, and they told me I made too much money. But I make too much money, but you take my taxes. You take my taxes and you give it to someone else who may be paying for your child to go to a private school because of whatever reason you're coming. Maybe the school doesn't meet, give your child a place, because every school has a rating. Maybe a rating on the school is a D. You don't want your child in there. Anybody wouldn't want the child there. You would want your child to be able to read, write, and arithmetic when they come out of those grammar schools. But the fact is, I shouldn't have to pay for that. That should not have to come out of my tax dollars. But on the other hand, you're telling me that my tax dollars the voucher program is an excellent program. I can say it as a teacher, you have a choice. It gives the parents power. However, it gives only certain parents power. That right there, we have to fix because it's not fair.
That was one of the issues you kind of brought to light for me yesterday, because I considered that before. Because from my perspective, I wasn't a single mom. We were an intact family and stuff, but our income was an issue. The voucher program was a lottery program, but there were income criteria, like your name went into the lottery. Exactly. But they, you even to get into the lottery, there were certain criteria you had to meet. Yes. And so that when you talked about that, about your tax dollars, and this was an issue while we were doing this research, and Vic brought it to life, is that her tax dollars are still, thank you, sis. Her tax dollars were still going into the public school system, but because she made too much money, she couldn't take advantage of a voucher program. The tax dollars she was paying into couldn't follow her daughter, so she's still paying taxes, and then she's paying for private schools. So really her choice was taken away. I mean, she had her choice, but she didn't get the opportunity that, like she said, single moms. And that was another issue that we talk about. We have nothing against single moms. No. But it seems like the way our government is set up, that bad behavior is rewarded. Now, there's many reasons why women are single. Yes, okay, exactly. Well, we have single moms. Exactly. They could be widows. They could be divorced. I'm divorced. I was a divorced mom and stuff. But we also know that a lot of, unfortunately, especially in the Black community, a lot of over 70% of Black children are born out of wedlock. Yeah. So then we take these monies in the voucher programs and give it to these women who are single moms. And it is another form of rewarding bad behavior. Let's just be real about it, y'all. We're going to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to get real. We ain't going to whitewash or sugarcoat nothing. That's just a reality. Exactly. And especially in the Black community. Yeah. And I think it is something worth addressing. Yeah. But that was one of the things.
And then the other thing on the other side of that, we also have the voucher program, but is it universal? My thing is being universal. Right. Is it universal for children who have special needs? If you're getting a voucher for them, are the schools that are charter schools prepared? Okay. Are the teachers up to par the way the teachers are rigored in public schools? And I have to admit, as being a special ed teacher, being on the low, teaching on the low spectrum of autism, let me tell you something. It's a lot of work. And my daughter, who teaches in charter schools, she's often said that they're not equipped. They're not equipped to handle vouchers, because remember, with those vouchers, with children on the spectrum, you're coming with, they need PT, OT, speech. Okay,
physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. I'm sorry, she's doing teacher speak. I'm gonna break it down.
So these are all of the things that they need, and if they're going into a school that you're saying that is choice, their IEP, it's just an IEP,
individual
it's
educational plan.
It's
It's usually what they use for kids with special needs.
And this follows them their entire life, even if they're on the higher top of the spectrum, which is Asperger's, and they've gone into college. That IEP even follows them into college to make sure that the learning, the assignments are basically tweaked for
appropriate
for their pace on how they learn.
So what are you saying that
I'm just saying, if you're going to have chartered schools, those
make sure
parents,
that they're equipped.
Those parents also have concerns. If I take my child and my voucher and I said, okay, I don't want the private school, but they're saying, charter schools saying, we accept children on the spectrum. They have to be prepared now, okay? Meaning staff-wise. So it's all the same thing.
Well, that's one of the cons. So we're talking about both sides of this, because one of the good things about public schools is that they do make sure that special needs children are taken care of.
Yes.
So we want to bring that over onto the school choice side. So that's the point Vic making, because she's worked with children with special needs, like she said, on the autism spectrum, and in the public schools, and the resources were there. So, and I think that's one of the things that why we're willing to just have this discussion, is because all public schools are not bad.
No,
they are. They're, and especially like when you're in suburbs and usually upper. It's just the reality.
Let's be reality.
That in the upper income neighborhoods, you will have a better educational system.
But you can't blame the upper class system, because you're taking the tax dollars out of the income of the people that's in those areas. Mm-hmm. So if you are in those affluent areas in the suburbs,
I think that should be part of school choice, though.
Okay,
too.
6 figures. Okay,
take the tax dollars from the poor public schools and let them go to the good, the upper public.
Yeah,
when you start doing that, then it's going to force competition, and that's another thing to me.
No, I don't think that's right. What it is I think that you can get the same type of rigor in those lower schools is by mandating these teachers to teach. You can't take someone else's tax dollars and educate. So it's just like me taking my tax dollars. They come take my tax dollars to fix a road in a different county.
Right,
what's
not near you.
Yeah. You ain't taking my tax dollars.
Don't make me bust the cap.
But what's the sense? What gives them the initiative to work? You see, this is not just on the small scale. I don't think that we're really paying attention to what's really going on. This is even deeper than this. If you are taking those tax dollars from a different area and bring it to another area, okay, that's not right. What you do is you're using the teachers is the persons that you are paying, because believe it or not, they pay teachers more.
You're ranting, you know.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
wait, let me just finish this. They pay teachers more in poverty-stricken areas because nobody wants to go.
Because the teachers don't.
So why are you taking dollars from a suburban area to bring that, and they're giving the teachers?
Well, that's it, and I think that's the issue why we talk about school choice, because all of the decisions are in the teachers' hands, the unions, the administration. So number 2 reason is that for school choice is it increases parental satisfaction and involvement. I got a funny story about that, y'all. I got to tell y'all about my adventure with Catholic schools. So I hope my daughter don't mind me sharing, but I be telling all her business. She grown now, but my daughter had an IEP. And she was in Catholic school. I'm telling you, them nuns are a trip. I'm going to tell you right now, if you decide on Catholic school, be ready to deal with them nuns, okay? Because they speak their minds. But I was pushing for my daughter to get a psychological exam because I was noticing some, issues with her learning. She was starting to display what I thought were maybe signs of either ADD or dyslexia. You know, she just started having and as a parent, you know, you notice that kind of stuff. So they did a couple of psychological exams and they found nothing. And that was when I think she was in like 5th grade. Finally, by the time she got to 7th grade, they did find something. But at this particular time, so I'm sitting in there talking to the nun or the head nun or the principal, what was considered the principal, but she was also a nun.
Okay.
So she's telling me that they didn't find anything. They had given her a couple of psychological exams. And that woman had the nerve to tell me my daughter was playing me for attention and wanted me and wasn't nothing wrong with it. I'm gonna tell you, see, I almost caught a case on the nun that day. I almost went to jail because I'm like, how you gonna tell me my daughter is playing me when I'm looking at this child? Exactly. And I just felt like that was so unprofessional. And I'm telling you, I had to.
But see, this is
that's my voucher story.
And this is the reason why you have to, first of all, a parent must know their child. Some parents don't know their child. That's one issue. Number two, like I was saying prior, it's a budget. That child comes with a budget in that school. So if that child has an IEP, if that child needs speech, that's a budget. Mm-hmm. If that child needs,
because you got to pay the speech therapist.
So you got to pay, and see, that's coming out. And if that child goes to a parochial school or private school, and they have an IEP, that they have a behavior. Now, especially a behavior with a para, that's a budget that got to come out of.
But wouldn't that money, the tax money,
that's what
follow them? So it seemed that I don't think it was a budget issue for her. She just was
always honey.
Well, I mean,
it's always a budget issue.
But if the money is coming for those resources, matter.
But you're that child, you're trying to make sure that even it's a business. This is a business. See, I look at everything as a business. The bottom line is how many dollars am I going to save at the end of all of this? Okay. Mm-hmm. So when that child comes, if she's coming with needs, that means that budget money is coming out.
Going towards that. Okay. Well, that nun almost made me catch a case that day.
And this is just not, it's just not a Catholic school. This is the reality, people. This is the reality of our children. They're nothing more than a dollar sign. When your teachers look at your child, it's nothing more than a dollar sign, because every day your child is in school, so the school receives dollars.
So are you telling me in the case of school choice, I want to understand the point, because we got to help them understand it too, because I'm not understanding the point. I understand the budget and everything, but how does that relate to school choice? Or do you think that the nun, because even though we were there my daughter was there on a voucher, they were getting, the funding. Mm-hmm. So if she would have discovered that there was a special need, like you say, bringing in, the speech language pathologist, the physical therapy, whatever that was needed, it would have been costly to her budget. So it almost seems like, is that what you're saying?
It would rather, she would rather say, oh, there's nothing wrong with your child. They're fine. And say, okay, they can come. That means we don't have to worry about extra services. It's the services that's causing extra. It's just like,
so if the kid just came without the extra services, they're good.
They're good.
If they got the voucher and they're getting the money. And now here's the other thing too. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing with the vouchers too that I learned with the school choice issue. Mm-hmm. There was a big difference in my daughter's learning, and they were ahead of the kids in the public school because their vouchers ran out by the time they got out of middle school. So I ended up taking them to a public school. I actually moved into a suburb that had a national reputation. I moved to Shaker Heights, Ohio, and they had quote unquote good schools until I really found out the truth about that. But that's a whole nother story. But at the time, the state was paying $7,000 per child per year in public school. Mm-hmm. The schools where my daughters were going to, the Catholic schools, the tuition was like $3,500 a year. And I did have a share that I had to pay because I did have some income. So I think I was paying a little over $100 a month, for both girls, which wasn't bad considering, So for half the cost, they were getting a better education.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled. And that's the other thing with the school choice issue. Number three benefit is that the education can be tailored. And of course, we have to take into consideration what you talked about with the special needs kids, but the education can be tailored to their needs because, and I do want to read this list that we talked about, the different kind of schools, remember? So in my research,
it could be tailored, but you have a smaller class size. However, it's about having the proper instructional teaching to make sure that your child is receiving adequate education, and that comes with the budget. Same thing.
She's so biased about this budget thing. We
because
understand
everything is everything is money. Everything is money.
We got we got it.
All
but
right.
even still, how it relates to school choice, my argument is school choice is good. I mean, and then there are public schools that are good, but see, that's the thing too. It's choice. Regardless of where they go, some parents may choose for their kids to go to a public school. There are good public schools. We talked about Dunbar High School in DC.
Yes.
Back
1916 or was it?
Yeah, it was created and it was based on academic excellence until the Brown v. Board of Education decision that came decide, and it was a black school,
all black school,
and look it up, Dunbar High School in Washington D.C. I believe it's still there, but it's just a regular ghetto school. But it was based on you had to pass. There were criteria to get into that school, and it was an excellent school. It was based on academic excellence. The teachers that were there were excellent teachers. Yeah. The students that were there, they had a standard that was very high. And that just goes to show if you put the expectation high, the kids will meet it. Exactly.
They're going to jump. But if you put it down here, you don't set a bar, they don't feel like they are required to do anything. You put a bar up here and you tell the kids once they come through that door, here's your bar, you better jump. They will program in their spirit. Their spirit man will be triggered. Okay. Now, whatever religion you are, it's still the same thing. Your energy level, that child's energy level is going to jump to where you say, that ball got to come up here. Automatically, that's going to trigger in that child's brain, and they're going to remember, oh, I gotta make sure that I meet that bar. And every day that they come out of school and you see that bar in front of that door, that main door, they look at that door coming in and they look at that bar coming in and they look at that bar going out. And that's a reminder in their mind what they have to do and what they have to accomplish.
And another thing, number 4 is that school choice allows options for low-income families. So that's one of the things we were just talking about. There are some caveats to that and some issues that we think need to be worked out when it comes to, especially tax-paying families who are higher income that don't have the choice. We personally believe one way to fix it is to let the parents' tax dollars follow their child. So if you're paying tax dollars into the public school system, and you want that, I think this is a good remedy, whether it happened or not, and let your dollars that you're paying in taxes, and usually it's the homeowners who are paying the taxes to pay for the schools. So if you're a homeowner that's paying taxes, and those taxes do go directly to funding public schools. So if your child ain't in it, they don't need your money. And if you're sending your child to private school, let that money you're paying in taxes follow your child. So maybe that could be something they can do.
I think someone, I don't remember what congressman said this, but remember Bush came up with this when he was in office,
the voucher program,
about the voucher program, and just remember Obama killed it when he came into office. So if your child needs to go to a chartered school because there's schools in their area, is just not up to par, you can thank your 2008 and 2012 president.
Yeah, he defunded the DC. Well, he didn't put it in his budget, in his 2013 budget. Yeah. When the time came to fund the Opportunity Scholarship Program that was in Washington, D.C. Yeah. We found an article on Wikipedia that, and I had heard about it anyway, so I just went to go read where he didn't put the money in the budget. He technically didn't cancel it. He just didn't
just
fund
like
it.
he technically tells the college kids from all of these Black universities that they got to come back every year to solicit for a grant for their school.
Or the
When-
HBCUs.
The HBCU, yeah, but President Trump, the person that hate Black people, I'm sorry, y'all, I don't want to go there.
She's ranting
He
again.
said, what is the sense of you keep coming back here? I'm just going to put it in so you don't even have
for the
to
next
come.
10 years.
For the next 10 years, you don't even have to come back to me about any more money. It's already there. You just got to pull it out every physical year. Okay. I had enough of that, Victoria. Let's move on.
Now, a lot of the hypocrisy I see, to your point, though, about that, too, a lot of hypocrisy that we see is that the very people who don't believe in school choice a lot of times send their kids to private schools.
Yes.
They won't send them to public schools.
No.
But those of us who don't have the wherewithal
Yeah.
to pay for private schools,
Yeah.
we can't do it.
No.
But they want to take our choice away.
Yeah.
But they want their choice. So
Yeah.
that's a big issue.
And you can't
in
have
this-
it both
in the school
ways.
choice.
You can't have your wanting your choice like everybody else, and then you are not putting your hand to the fire to change it, to change the laws, to make sure that your children are able to go have school choice. You have school choice for your children. So
Right.
that all comes back in civics. And that's one thing that we need to get back into our schools. And we have to also look at the reason why voucher programs there's such a pushback. There's such a pushback. Why? And like we said in the beginning, unions benefit by the pushback.
Right, because you got the public schools and it benefits the public schools, even if they're failing. That's part of the issue.
And this is the thing about the failing schools. As a Black woman coming from a Black community, you have failing schools in the Black communities. And these voucher programs would be enormous. These kids would be ready to go into college without taking remedials. You know, kids go to school for 12 years, okay? 12 grades, 12 years. And at the end of that 12th year, you have children going into even community colleges or can't get into a 4-year college because you don't meet the passing grade that you need in order to go to a 4-year college. So you have to go to a 2-year community college before you even, and sometimes that's good because the environment is much smaller, and kids seem to maybe work better in smaller
in groups. That's just a fact.
So that's not to knock community colleges, because a lot of people have gone to community colleges and gone on to a 4-year college and has done very well. But I'm just saying, when you're coming out of school straight away, why are you going right into a remedial math class that you took in 10th and 11th grade? You see, this is all about these schools that are unionized, that are not putting the teachers to the task.
Right. This makes the argument for school choice. Let the parents decide. So I do have a list of the different choices, because a lot of times we think about school choice, the first thing it's like 3 things we think about, right? Yeah. Vouchers, private or parochial schools, and charter schools. Those are the things. But there's so many more. So I want you guys to listen to this list. Okay. So of course, the vouchers, magnet schools. You guys remember those? I think they're still around. So we talked about that.
In New York City, there's still magnet schools.
Yeah. Online schools now with virtual teaching. Homeschooling is one.
That's a big one.
Vocational schools.
Yes.
Like what she's talking about, everybody isn't college material. When I was in high school, we had vocational schools. Yes. We had wood shop. We had auto mechanics. Right.
We had
secretarial. Right. Yeah, I learned shorthand. Right.
Culinary.
And so a lot of kids are not equipped for college. No. College is not the end all be all to have economic success. So vocational schools are absolutely a choice, right?
I just think academic success is for a child to be able to get up in the morning, dressed appropriately, in their class, in their seat at 8:20. That right there.
Just having some discipline.
Right.
To make it in the world, right?
There you go.
Montessori schools. I think those are still around. I'm not exactly sure. You guys can look this stuff up. This is just stuff. We only got an hour. Well, we got about 20 more minutes, but this is information we're disseminating to you so that you can look this stuff up yourself. Now, the other thing we talked about too was funding options.
Yes.
for school choice. There are things called educational savings accounts.
Yeah.
And then each state has what's called 529 plans. These are tax savings vehicles for parents to put money to the side, tax-free, state tax-free. It's not eliminated. It's not free from federal tax. But these are plans that parents can put aside in different states pre-tax and not have to pay taxes on it and use it to pay for their child's, education. A lot of times it mainly goes towards college, but I do believe you may be able to use it towards private school as well. So these are some of the choices that are available in our research that we came up with.
Let me ask you a question. If you have the 529, I'll do some more research on that. You know me, I love thumping that book.
Yeah, she does.
Because I'm just saying it should be universal. See, this is what I'm saying when we're having this discussion on vouchers. I think it should be a universal thing. I don't care if you have six figures. It's still your tax dollars. These people are still paying the taxes.
Right.
It should not be regulated on who kids can go, because what another issue is too for me is not only do I gotta pay for my child going to school, I gotta pay for my child going to college. Right. Meanwhile, your child, I'm paying for your child to go
to school,
and then
my child to go,
and then they go to college and get that free.
Right.
No, you see, it's just, and what happens is you have this is when you have the fight amongst the people. You have people with bitterness towards whoever, whether this color with that color, but just humans clashing because you're rewarding certain people and working class people who are holding the economy together. You're
punishing them, right?
You're pinching them, going out the door. So
right.
I mean, it's just so much to go over. It's just not a one shoe fit all.
I think one of the points you're making that is clear to a lot of us, there are systemic things that are set up and that hinder mainly the middle class.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's a black-white issue, but I think there are systems in place that hinder the those of us who go to work every day and are productive citizens of society.
Absolutely.
We're not rich.
Yeah.
We may live a middle class lifestyle. But we're the hardworking people who a lot of times seem to get caught up because, of course, the rich can send their kids to wherever they want to go. And then a lot of these voucher programs and stuff go to the poor, lower income,
absolutely,
folk. And
you get nothing.
And right.
And I get nothing.
And then we do know that, unfortunately, a lot of times some of those lower income, and we have nothing against low income people.
No.
A lot of low income people are hardworking folk. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that, unfortunately, and especially if we can speak to this intelligently in the Black community, we do know that the majority, over 70% of Black babies are born out of wedlock.
Yeah.
So there's no father in the home. There's no intact
structure
family, right? And then they're getting the benefit of those vouchers.
Yeah.
So, and it probably happens more often than not. And I've seen it happen a lot too. I've seen young women have children out of wedlock. They get free tuition in college. They get Section 8. They're incentivized.
There's no incentive to work.
Right. And not to have a man.
No,
young women, that's a whole other story we could talk about. But young women are incentivized, especially in the Black community, not to have a man.
And if you want to talk about, wait a minute, systematic racism, there you go right there.
Yeah. That's right. The systemic racism. I wasn't gonna say it, but that's the point.
I had to go there because that's what it is. They're targeting
because it destroys
destroying the family.
It has destroyed the Black family. Things like welfare, Section 8, free college and stuff. Because in order for the young woman to benefit from those, the father can't be in the home.
Yeah. So she, and this is why
which ultimately hurts the family. It hurts the children.
Wait a minute. This is why I always say, so you sold the Black man for a toaster. You sold the Black man for a TV, because this started back in the 60s. Yes. The person comes, the officer comes and check your house,
right?
And you throwing the toaster and the TV and all of this stuff out the window, or you leaving it over at your neighbor's house because you don't want it caught in your home because you're not supposed to have any man.
Right.
And when they came in the home, they would check to make sure, okay, well, if you're on public assistance, how are you affording this?
Right.
And how are you affording that?
Right.
But you see, history has its way of always repeating itself. It just repeats itself in a different form. So instead of it being the toaster, instead of it being the TV, now you got Section 8. You can get Section 8. You can get your own place.
Yeah.
And you know,
I actually saw an article, sis, where this girl, she was getting so many benefits. It basically
benefited her to stay home.
Right. She was getting child care, free college, Section 8, a check, food stamps, WIC. By the time they added up the total dollar amount of benefits she got, it equated to an $80,000 a year salary. Why should she go to work?
But the thing about it is, too, is that in New York City, I remember they had to work. It was called work program. And they said they had to work for their check. And there was so much outrage on people. It's just like systemic racism once again, because they were making, you had to put in a certain hours to work in order to get your check. Oh, you know the outrage on that? I could not believe it. They were angry. They were angry that the government was saying you got to go to work to get the check. They only had to put in, it wasn't like a 40-hour week.
But let me tell you something even more stupid. This is how stupid the system is, because yes, I have been in a position in my younger days where I had to take advantage or
but that's not you now.
Right. No, but even still, as a young mother, well, I mean, we just gonna keep it real. We family here, right, y'all?
We family.
So I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I ain't got nothing to hide.
Go ahead, girl.
In my younger days, especially like between the time when my daughters were born, I was not working. My husband was out of work too. He was unemployed. So I requested help. Temporary help, because that's what it's really for.
Yeah, it's temporary
help until you can get on your feet. Right. And I was an intact family. I wasn't asking as a single mother. My husband was unemployed. He had lost his job. And I had just had 2 daughters and was out of work. My daughters were born back to back.
Okay.
So I went to request a little bit of help from the government.
Okay.
This is what they required in order to get a little bit of financial help. Because I told them it was only temporary. I expect to be going back to work. They wanted me to sign up for a work release program because I was literally looking for work until, I was looking for somebody to work, because my daughter was only 6 months. Layla was 6 months. Mimi was like 18 months old. So until I could get back to work, we were asking for a little help. They wanted me to go to, now mind you, I had a bachelor's degree at the time, and it was the work situation was really bad during the time of Obama. So
black baby Jesus.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Obama. It was Clinton. I think it was. It was in the 90s.
The first black president.
So, but I was having a difficult time finding employment.
Wait a minute.
So anyway, let me tell you, they literally wanted me to attend some type of work training class for 30 hours a week in order to get like a $600 a month check. And I'm saying to myself, I could probably teach the class. It didn't make sense to me for me to, the 30 hours a week could have been the time I was using to look for employment.
But you said that
I'm telling you, the system is set up
for you to fail.
keep exactly
for you to fail.
So, but let me because we got about 10 minutes. I do want to against school choice, and they were interesting, and some of them had a little bit valid point. So the case against vouchers, and this was from a person who had no children, but she paid taxes. She's a homeowner, so her money was going towards public education. So she had a problem though with her tax dollars going towards religious education, right? So she felt like she should have a say in whether those dollars could follow children to, Christian or Catholic or religious schools, which in her defense is understandable. It's a valid argument. It is debatable. So that was one thing. So she felt like even though she had no children, she was a homeowner. She should have a say. Okay. Another argument she had, which I don't know if this is true, but this was an argument that she had, that there was little to no evidence that vouchers work. Okay. So, and I don't know that that's true, because as a matter of fact,
there's a school that in New York is a charter school in Harlem. I think it's called Harlem. Oh gosh, I forgot this man's name. If you look up, it's a charter school in Harlem. I forgot the name of this school. If I would have known that was one of her questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a school in Harlem that they have followed for years.
Okay.
For years.
It's a charter school.
Yes, it's
okay.
a Success Academy. If
okay.
you look up
I've heard of them.
Academy, and his name, I forgot his name, was Joe something, who founded it. And it's still in existence. It's still in existence. And they said that it's that is the billboard for charter schools because it's been around. Because I've known, so I when I first started teaching, and I had to do my teacher credits, I went to a school, and I worked at a school called Merrick Academy. They done closed down, honey. Because see, you have to also have an accountability,
right? So
they closed down because of the money issues. Like I said, the money issues was that someone was stealing the bank. Mm-hmm. So that's also when you have charter schools.
There has to be accountability.
There has to be accountability
because they are getting taxpayer money.
Because they're getting taxpayer money. So there's got to be a strong oversight. But you have that same thing with public schools,
right? Exactly. Because a lot of those public schools that have heavy administrations, and all of the money is going to the top. You know, the principals and all of those people.
But you had the lottery too. The lottery was geared if a certain amount of taxes went.
And we know there was a lot of fraud in a lot of these lotteries. Right, because the schools ain't getting no better, but they getting all of this money.
Where all that money? Send it to all of those schools in these really trouble areas that's having problems of meeting the academic level that these kids need. Send all that money to them and clean up these schools. And matter of fact, before you even send the money, find the teachers first and see if they're able to teach math to our children the way they should without yelling and screaming, and then send the money.
Well, I think I'm definitely for school choice, and I'm for competition because I think there's going to be some accountability. Here's the third point that this person made, though, that I thought was interesting, and you got to listen to this because then you're going to know the way this person leans, okay? Well, to go back to the other argument, though, about little or no evidence, what Vic just said, I'm sure there's some empirical evidence somewhere. I would push back against that because all you got to do is look at something like graduation rates, and that was one of the reasons in the reason number 5 of why school choice works. That the school choice leads to higher graduation rates. Yeah. So with public schools, they're in Chicago. I think their graduation rate was something like 70% of the kids weren't graduating or couldn't read. But with the charter schools or with some of the private schools, the graduation rate is like 98%, and then they're ready for college. So I think that was, I don't know where she felt that or got that information from, but I bet you there's a lot of empirical information out there that could dispute that claim. But this was her other claim, that school choice exacerbates the unfair outcomes in the lottery of life. Now think about that. She's looking more for fair outcomes. Our position tends to be equal opportunity, not equal outcomes.
Because no one's going to have the same outcome.
Nobody
Even if you give them the same, even if you put them here, you give them the same resources, somebody's going to come up here. It's just like family members. Yeah. Family members in family. You're going to have
same mama, same daddy,
same food,
right,
same house,
and
same
totally different outcomes.
And totally different outcomes. That debunks.
Even with twins. You can have twins, right.
That debunks that theory. And I just think, once again, we don't try to tell you what to do here. What we try to do is to give you a food for thought. However, we also try to teach you how to think critically, to break it down, okay? Extract the blinders, because see, sometimes when you have blinders on, you come with preconceived notions.
Extract blinders, well said, sis. I love that.
and just like
extract them blinders, girl.
Okay, and just like, okay, I'm going into this, and I'm going to say this, and this, because I don't care where you go. Everyone will. There's people that's on the same equal playing field with education and everything, and there's some people are just plain lazy. They don't want to achieve that higher level in life, whether it's in critical thinking, it's in just overall in life. And you're gonna have those people, and you got to respect them too, because that's what they want. But you know what? In respecting them, they also have to understand that just because your choice is there, that's not mine, and you have to respect that as well.
Right. So from the perspective of what I think we're kind of making the case that school choice is a good thing for all of these. If we think about the pro-choice movement, right? So if you're for pro-choice, you should be for, pro-choice for schools. So as we're winding down talking about this, the psychological aspect of school choice is that all schools are not a one size fit all these days. Back in the day, even before public schools, we used to have a little schoolhouses, a little community school. All the kids went there. There was a teacher. And then we came up with public schools, which were not necessarily a bad idea, but they've gone so far off the rail to benefit our children. And it's evident with kids not being able to read.
Indoctrination. It's no longer instructional teaching of reading, math, and arithmetic, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Indoctrination.
It's now become indoctrination.
Well said, sis. Again.
It's just like trying to indoctrinate our children with morals, okay? The moral fiber, gender. It's just like, and we are here to try to critically throw out things for you parents to think and to prepare you for, if you have children in high school, to prepare your children to stand on the solid foundation of what your moral fiber is coming out of your home. Mm-hmm. That's our job.
Right. So in conclusion, we do want to say, especially like I was saying from the psychological aspect of it, and the point that Vic made about a lot of the indoctrination, unfortunately, that's going on in the public schools now. And I think that's why school choice has become such an issue, because parents are not getting what their tax dollars are paying for. No. Their kids aren't reading. They don't know reading, writing, arithmetic, those basic things. They don't know anything about civics. They don't know anything about the history of this country, the Constitution, these types of things that we had to learn when we were coming up. Yeah. And then they took it unfortunately, and then they're coming out and they're indoctrinated, or they have a certain ideology that a lot of times is destructive to society. Yeah. So that's why the school choice issue is a big deal. And I think it's going to stay. It's here to stay. We have so many more options now than we did before. Before it was just private school, Catholic school, or Montessori school. Now you have all these other options that are available to you, and parents are going to choose that. So in closing, I would like to say, as we're wrapping this up, one of the comments from this article was the best public school won't work for every student, because public schools, there are some good public schools, but it won't work for every student. The best private school won't work for every student. The best public charter school won't work for every student. The best virtual school won't work for every student. It's about having options. Options mean liberty, and our education system needs more of it. So we absolutely are for school choice. I think you probably got that.
You got that. Listen, I'm for school choice. I'm just saying, make it an equal playing field. I don't have any more small children. However, I do have nieces and nephews that are small, that's coming up. And I would love for them to know about civics, the real history of this country, even about Black history, getting that back on point, because I think being misled of your own heritage also makes you feel a certain way where you're not on that same playing field. It makes you feel like you're inferior. No, the Creator created us all on the same playing field, and it's up to you to educate yourself to find out about that. And with Well Said with Kim and Vic, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be bringing it straight to your head.
Straight to the head. So guys, please, those of you who are still with us, leave some comments about what you think about what we talked about. Hopefully it was, educational, informative. You learned some things. Go look up Dunbar, the opportunity,
the proclamation of the National School Choice Week 2020.
The opportunity program that was in DC. So, but we do appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you so much. Welcome to Well Said from Kim and Vic on the Seeking Educational Excellence YouTube channel.
And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Are we in?